Good morning, Martin. How are you?
Good morning.
Could you shortly introduce yourself and your office, OCRA? As I understand, you're based in Utrecht, but you work internationally.
Yes, that's correct. We work in Western Europe mostly on larger international commissions, regenerating cities, making them vibrant and resilient. Some of our projects are in Holland, but the majority is actually abroad.
Yeah. Could you give us an example of your activities?
Well, currently we are working now in Greece, in Athens, where we are transforming the city into a resilient city, and also to make the city ready for climate control, which is important since climate change requires climate adaptation. Nowadays already, and in the near future, these problems might be bigger.
Before we really go into that project to understand also what you mean with resilience and climate adaptation, one question: how did you get this appointment?
We won an international competition, and actually the requirements were already that Athens is suffering from smog and hot climate during summer. So our attitude was to solve these problems rather than just to make beautification.
You're using the word resilient. What do you mean by resilience? What are the layers of resilience? Because of course it's not one only aspect you're addressing.
No, actually I think that since nowadays more than half of the world's population is living and working in cities, we should create better cities, cities that are livable and where people feel comfortable. And that means that we should adapt natural systems within the city center to make climate control acceptable for people and to make water accessible for people in the cities. The cities are suffering mostly from major problems like congestion, like pollution, and in Southern Europe it can be really hot in the city during summers.
Climate adaptation, what are your tools you're using as a landscape architect and urban designer to address climate adaptation in such a warm climate?
Well, it's interesting that every city somehow has linkages to its original landscape. Like, for instance, in Athens there are the green hills, but within the city there's a lot of paved environment and asphalted environment. What we do is actually we have generated a toolbox in which we have several tools, like for instance plantation, green facades, green roofs, but also light albedo pavement and water. If you create fresh water in the city, which sparkles a little bit, and some fog in the cities, it can also reduce temperatures in the hot city centers.
Yeah, could you go a bit more into this water management? This is one of the main issues here, as of course Holland is an expert in water management, and you have cities like Rotterdam here at the pavilion with the projects like sustainable urban deltas, etc., addressing this theme of urban management. Can you specify how you do address the theme of urban management within that specific project in the climatic conditions of the metropolis of Athens?
Yes, actually, if you look at precipitation in Athens, during winter there's a lot of rainfall. It's even problematic. It can be close to what tropical rainfall is during a day. So then at some point you have too much water. In summer there's a really dry climate. So what we did actually is that we wanted to store rainfall during winter, retain the water in basins and underground crates, and provide this water for plantation during summer. So what we did was we designed Europe's largest water retention system of about 14,500 cubic meter, which is about 10 Olympic swimming pools. And this water retention is ready for irrigation during the dry summer months in such an order that actually the city is self-sufficient for water for its plantation.
What can we learn from this project in Athens? Is it just a specific project, or can it be translated in different international climatic environments? Huh?
Yeah, it can be implemented in different environments. In Southern Europe, it will be very important. Maybe also in other regions, like, for instance, in Russia and China. I think this system can be really valuable because it is relatively at low cost. It's only 4% of the whole project's costs, but it provides a facility that is really needed, and it also saves a lot of water during summer to irrigate plants with natural water. And this system, I think, can be applied in almost any Southern European city, since for instance in Athens it's relatively difficult to implement it because of all the archaeological remains, but still we are capable of storing all this water just under the roads, under the normal roads.
Our next pavilion here at the Metropolitan Solutions Fair is the pavilion of Moscow, a metropolis. So could you go shortly into the projects you, as a landscape architect based in Utrecht, is working on for the city of Moscow?
Yeah, actually we are working on the Green River project for Moscow, which is situated, our first demonstration project is situated in Brachevo on the east side of Moscow. And what we do there is actually also create a green and blue environment, link the water from the residential area, capture the water, store it, clean it in the basins, and then also bring it slowly to the rivers.
The last Skype interview we had a quarter of an hour ago was with Shanghai and Beijing. So you see, we're quite an international environment here at the Holland Smart City House at the Metropolitan Solutions Fair. Could you also shortly go into your Chinese projects? How can you implement these blue and green technologies in the very quick acceleration of Chinese urban development?
Well, actually, in China, we have worked on the Xianghe project at the outskirts of Beijing, and there were clay pits, and there was already water in the canals and in the clay pits, but actually this water was standing water. So what we did was actually, in the park system, we made it moving water in order to raise the water quality. And then we also linked it to the residential water, so we captured the water from roofs and from streets in order to store it and to use it for green and for recycling of water. I think in China it's very important that the good things that are already there, like green and water, there's always rainfall, that you use these things to make your daily environment better. And I think there are major opportunities to solve big problems with climate control in China.
So as a closing statement, perhaps, what are the possibilities of landscape architecture and urban design addressing the climate change challenges we are already facing?
Well, I think in the past many people were designing beautiful parks or beautiful squares, and actually I think landscape architecture and urban design can do more. They should do more. They should create change for cities to make a livable environment by planting trees in structures that reduce temperatures in the cities, and also to capture water to make it available for plantation in order that it grows. Because if plantation grows well with a sufficient amount of water, I think the total environment becomes better. We even had scientific calculations proving that temperature reduction is linked to good plantation.
Martin, thank you very much. This was Martin Knuijt from Utrecht, landscape architect, Okra Landscape Architects, working internationally, a live television show of the house, Holland Smart City House at the Metropolitan Solutions Fair in Hanover 2014. Thank you very much, Martin.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.